There are a lot of people walking our streets right now in Kansas City who aren't scared to go to jail and aren't scared to die. We need to find some way to break through to them.
To break through to them, that was Mayor Quentin Lucas and his latest conversation with KCTV5 reporter Zach Summer and anchor, I should say, Zach Summers. Zach, you had a conversation with the mayor to talk about gun violence here in our community. And, you know, it's running today. The story will air today, but this also comes on a day where we are just 1 month from the shooting that happened on Valentine's Day during the Chiefs rally. Now, before we kind of break down this whole entire conversation, just your overall reaction after sitting down with the mayor.
Well, I think the mayor recognizes, like so many of us in this city, that we have a gun problem, or we have a problem with people with guns turning to violence. The mayor
There are a
called
lot
it
of people walking our
the
streets
city's
right now in
greatest
Kansas City
drawback.
who aren't scared to go to jail, aren't scared
And
to
so,
die.
you,
We
like you
need
said,
to
this all
find some
started
way to break
after
through to them.
the shooting at Union Station following the Chiefs rally, where you had 23 people killed, 25 if you include the two shooters who have been charged, alleged shooters who have been charged, and then, of course, Lisa Lopez Galvin, who lost her life. And, you know, initially, you know, after that was an incident that shocked us all. And so, you know, over the next several days and weeks, as journalists, we were looking for ways to tell this story and advance it. And initially, we started to hone in on youth violence. But then, of course, a week after the shooting, we learned that while there were two young people, minors, who were charged with gun-related offenses, it was two young men who were actually charged with the actual shooting itself. So that sort of shifted our focus a little bit. And we wanted to talk with the mayor. We wanted to sit down with him and really have an honest conversation with him about gun violence in Kansas City because, you know, well before the shooting at Union Station, we were already dealing with this problem. I mean, we had 182 homicides last year, a record, the most in our history. And then even after the rally shooting, we've continued to experience and live with this violence. And what's so heartbreaking is that a lot of these folks involved in this crime are young people. And so we just sat down with the mayor to sort of talk about, you know, some of the root causes, what he believes some of the root causes are. You know, a lot of it these days, and the mayor will tell you this, is we have young people who, instead of, you know, walking away, instead of talking it out, hashing it out, they're picking up these guns and they're shooting each other. And it's a problem, and the mayor believes that a lot of it has to do with that these kids just have easy access to these guns, and with easy access, you start to see this problem. But he also says that he thinks that adults are intervening too late. He believes that we need to get to young people at an earlier age, which, you know, I would agree. But, you know, looking at the data, it was quite alarming. I think one things that stood out to me and was heartbreaking was when you look at some of the data over the last 10 years, the number of shooters and victims are overwhelmingly black. And so black males at that, yeah. And so, you know, I had that part of the conversation with the mayor too. You know, what are we doing? Are we doing enough as a community to reach our young black boys?
I love when you ask the mayor, are we doing enough for our black youth here in Kansas City area? If you just want to touch on maybe his response, because I think that was also powerful, seeing in his eyes just the truth.
Yeah. Well, he said point blank, we're not doing enough. You know, he talked about how we have to do more to inspire our young black men. It can't just be this or you can't just build a jail or excuse me, you can't just build a jail or start intervening at a young age. He says it has to be both. You have to approach this with with folks knowing that, look, there are consequences to your actions, but also getting it to them at an early age to let them know that, hey, this isn't the way you have to go. There is a better life you can live, but you have to give people hope at the end of the day.
Yeah, and you know what I love about this story, Zach, that you put together is that you really kind of take us on the journey of Valentine's Day, how it all started off that morning with Carolina and Bill talking to Mayor Quentin Lucas, and then how everything just kind of turned. It was a tragic turn of events that day. But you also said the fact, you touched on it here as well, that we also dealt with an extreme number of homicides last year with 182. But in your story, you touch on the fact that other cities, they have seen a major drop in homicides as well, and that includes Atlanta. I know you've lived there.
Yeah, I lived in Atlanta for the last 3 years before coming to Kansas City, and I saw the up and downs there. In Atlanta back in 2020 when I arrived, they were grappling with a crime issue, but under the new mayor there, I saw in the last year and a half a turnaround. You still were seeing crime, and you were still seeing crime involving young people. But the city, the mayor there, investing in youth programs, and that was a big thing that I saw in the last year before I left for Kansas City. And we talk about that in our conversation with Mayor Q. I mean, we talk about the things that the city's doing, whether it be the investment in violence prevention programs or wanting more pay for police officers and other things like that. So there are things that the city's doing. But, the mayor said it, and I would agree with him. It can't just fall on the mayor. It can't just fall on police. We really have to come together as a community and tackle this issue. And there are groups and organizations that are working on this, but I think we all can do our part, play our part to give everyone in our community, some hope.
Yeah. And I think the mass shooting at the Chiefs rally, I think it just kind of really adds to that push of everyone getting involved and making sure that their voices are heard so that something can change, so that we're not seeing another 182 homicides at the end of 2024. Zach, where can our viewers see this story and hear more from Mayor Quentin?
Yeah, so the story is online right now, kctv5.com. It will air tonight at 10. And, we have the on-air version that'll air tonight, but you can actually watch my full, I believe, 20-minute one-on-one with the mayor, unedited, so you can hear everything that we discuss as it relates to crime, gun violence, and what's being done to address it.
Watch the full unedited interview with Mayor Quentin Lucas. Well, we are looking forward to it. Zach, thank you so much for joining me here at the live desk for Behind the Story.
Sure.